good evening. This is 3FM 92.7. Welcome to Hot Edition from our studios here at Adesawe Kanda, Accra. Coming up tonight, President Mahama shakes up his government in his first game of chess that sees the introduction of two fresh faces into the executive and the assignment of two ministers. We bring you the details, discussions, and perspectives here on Hot Edition tonight. Also, President Mahama's reshuffle creates vacancy in the front bench of Parliament's Majority Caucus. Lobbying and speculations rife as the governing NDC moves to fill the vacancy. We'll bring you clarity on the issues tonight. Stay with us as we delve into the issues, and don't forget to share your views under our live streams on Facebook and YouTube at 3FM 927. Before we get into all of these, Nura Mohammed is here with a new summary. Nura, what do you have?
Authority GSA has begun a nationwide sensitization on a mandatory registration of shippers onto the Integrated Customs Management System (ICUMS) platform in accordance with its establishing law. Officials of the authority, together with personnel of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority (GRA) and ICUMS itself, toured the country to explain how the electronic system will ease cargo clearance and support the collection of data for policy formulation and adjustments. Meanwhile, the Kwando Circuit Court has sentenced a 31-year-old lady, Stella Amedzome, to 3 years imprisonment for abducting an 8-month-old baby. The Volta Regional Police, in a statement issued on August 5, said the incident occurred on July 17 when the baby's mother left him in the care of the convict for a brief moment in the Kwando market where they both traded. But upon her return, both baby and the convict had disappeared, prompting an immediate report to the police. According to the police, Stella was later arrested in the Oti region and the baby rescued unharmed. She, however, claimed to have taken the baby on the instructions of her fiancé, who remains at large. And all elsewhere in Senegal, 3 TikTok influencers have been sentenced to prison terms plus fines for insulting the president, their lawyer said in a video posted on Facebook. Now, Reuters reports that Mandumbe, Diop, known as Lamine Daru, was sentenced to 3 months in prison without suspension. Magueye Diao, known as Ustaz Thiep, and Mustafa Ndiaye, known as Ndiaye Tuba, were each sentenced to 2 months without parole. Critics have, however, described the sentence as an assault on free speech in Senegal. Their lawyer, Abdinar Ndiaye, said the posts were only comical and that they did not merit criminal prosecution. He said Diao and Ndiaye were fined 500,000 CFA, equivalent to $800. And finally, U.S. President Donald Trump signed 2 executive orders on Thursday in a new but narrow attempt to curtail birthright citizenship, once again challenging a provision of the U.S. Constitution, even though the Supreme Court rejected his previous efforts. Limiting birthright citizenship has been one of the top priorities in the Republican president's crackdown on immigration, with the White House taking particular aim at what it calls birth tourism, in which pregnant foreigners travel to the U.S. to give birth. And that's it for the news summaries. Back to you, Grace.
Nura, thank you. Earlier, you had some heavy names there.
Yes, quite heavy names from our, neighbors.
Thank you for bringing us those updates. Nura Mohammed, my colleague, bringing us the new summaries there. But let's get into the meat of the bulletin tonight, because President John Dramani Mahama has nominated 2 members of Parliament as Ministers of State and reassigned 2 serving ministers to new portfolios. In a statement issued by the President, today, the President said the nominations were made in accordance with Article 78, Clause 1 of the Constitution and have been submitted to Parliament through the Speaker for prior approval. Dr. Zenato Ajiman Rawlings, Member of Parliament, has been nominated as Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Majority Leader Mahama Yariga has also been nominated as Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Meanwhile, the President has reassigned Kenneth Gilbert Ejay to the Ministry of Defense. He was formerly serving as Minister for Works and Housing. Local Government Minister Ahmed Ibrahim will now take his position as Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources. It is recorded that Dr. Atufo Singh, the Finance Minister, was appointed to act as Acting Defense Minister, thus playing dual role following the tragic death of Dr. Edward Omanibuama in the helicopter crash last year. Let's bring my colleague Wisdom Safo in studio. Wise, what are the portfolio of these 4 minister nominees?
So, Grace, we asked for the replacement of these people who perished in the helicopter crash a year ago. Right. And yes, the presidency has responded to that call. And I would like to start with Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins. She is occupying, or she is a nominee for the Environment, Science and Technology Ministry.
Right.
Now, let's look at her political experience. So, she's NDC MP for Kolote Kole since 2017, and she's now serving her 3rd term in Parliament. And she has also served on the Defence and Interior and Environment Committee in Parliament. She is also a chairperson of the Parliament Security and Intelligence Committee in the current Parliament. This would be her first appointment as a substantive cabinet or sector minister.
Right.
Let's look at her educational background and whether it links to the ministry
where she's going
to lead. So she is a medical doctor. She graduated from the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. She has an MB, BCH, BAO medical qualification. She has an executive master's in conflict, peace and security from the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Council. That's why a lot of people were tipping her
for the Defense Ministry.
And right. Additionally, so she has a training in defense management, conflict and crisis management, women, peace and security, and counter-terrorism as well. Then we move on to Mahama Ayariga, actually the majority leader. Outgoing majority leader. And I will explain why it's outgoing when we get to whether it is constitutional to appoint a replacement for him.
Okay.
We'll get there. So let's quickly run through. He is going to the local government, chieftaincy and religious affairs. For his political experience, is a veteran NDC MP for Boko Central. He has served in the 4th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th Parliament. He became majority leader and leader of government business in January 2025. He's also the former presidential spokesperson under President John Atamos. He previously served as Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Deputy Minister for Education, Minister for Information and Media Relations, Minister for Youth and Sports, and Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation as well. Let's look at his educational background. He has a Bachelor of Law, LLB, from the University of Ghana. He's also a barrister at Law Ghana School of Law. He had a Masters of Law, LLM, from the Harvard Law School, and a lawyer as well, and also formerly executive director, co-founder for Legal Resource Center. Then we move on to Kenneth Gilbert Ejay, and he is not a new nominee, so he will not be going through parliamentary vetting.
He's already been vetted for the position of Water, Works and Housing.
Exactly.
Right.
So he has been reassigned. So he is going for the infamous Minister for Defense and replacing Dr. Omanibuama.
Right.
So for his political experience, he's an NDC politician who previously served as Deputy Minister for Defense. So he has been a Deputy Minister for Defense before, from 2015 to 2017 under President John Dramani Mahama 1, right? And he was also appointed as a Minister for Works and Housing and Water Resources in 2025. Now he returns to the defense sector as a substantive Minister for Defense. For his educational background, he has a BSc in marketing. So he's a marketing person from GIMPA, and he has an executive MBA from the University of Ghana Business School. He has an MA, Master of Arts in Peace, Security and Intelligence Management. So he has a background related to defense as well.
Security and all of that.
Exactly, from UPSC, and he completed that in 2022. He also have background in marketing, financial services, and public sector governance. Then the last person here will be Ahmed Ibrahim. So he has also been reassigned. So he will also not go through parliamentary vetting. Exactly. Now he's been reassigned to the Works, Housing and Water Resources Ministry. For his political experience, he is the NDC MP since 2009. He is also initially represented the Tain constituency and subsequently the Banda constituency. So he has also served as both Deputy Majority Whip and Deputy Minority Whip as well, giving him extensive parliamentary leadership experience. He became the Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs in 2025, and now he is reassigned to the Works, Housing and Water Resources. For his educational background, he has a BA Political Science and Philosophy from the University of Ghana, an MBA in Finance from GIMPA. He also undertook specialist training in regulatory impact assessment and cost benefit analysis as well. He's also the former CEO of Flamingo Publications Ghana Limited as well. So this is, in a nutshell, the profile of
all of these four and what they bring on board. Because we also know some of them are already serving in the government. Thank you for talking to us. I know there's that constitution bit, but I'll throw that to Christian Yale because he is our face in Parliament. Wisdom Safo, my brilliant colleague, bringing us up to speed with the portfolio of the President Mahama's nominees and reassignment of some ministers who are already in his government. We'll hear from Christian Yale shortly, but before we do that, let's listen to a comment from former Supreme Court Judge Justice William Atekuba, what he said about Dr. Zanetta Rawlings and questioned why she didn't have a ministerial position back then. Let's listen to him.
Somebody like Zanetta Rawlings, she's not a politician. She's a woman of the people. I've been following her activities. I don't know, I've never spoken to her, never met her. But I'm convinced that that's the kind of politician people should aspire to be. Until now, and that's why I don't get involved in political sector. I don't know why she's not yet a minister. I hope by saying that I've not destroyed her chances. From social media, it seems there are sometimes they even announce her as Deputy Minister of Health. I say, oh, she could even be the substantive. There's something, but I think there's something that, why not? Why not? Such a woman of principle, of dedication of integrity. Why not?
Former Supreme Court Judge Justice William Atekuba there. Let's bring in Christian Yale, our man from Parliament. Christian, what have you gathered so far regarding who takes up the position of the majority leader now that he has been nominated for a minister? Are any names coming up? What do we know?
Yes, great. With some tangible information that we can work with. And in fact, these are things that are confirmed. We exposed to credible sources and what you call deep throat sources. And what we've gathered is that the Honorable James Agaga is shaped to be the next majority leader. And that is a confirmation we've had. That even an extra layer to it is that the NDC General Secretary, as well as the outgoing majority leader, Mahama Yarga, have both called him to confirm to him personally that he is in line to become the next majority leader. And you know that once this, communication came out from the presidency, he, Gaga, together with Isaac Adongo, as well as Emmanuel Kwesi Bejram, were some of the names of the senior and experienced members on the majority side that came up during the conversations. And so we were actually going to go and put out these names out there as our predictions until we got those, verified information from our sources, indeed, that James Agaga, barring any last-minute changes, would be the next majority leader.
And Christian, what does the Constitution say about assigning a leader in Parliament to a new ministerial position? Christian, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I was asking what the Constitution or what the standing orders of Parliament say about reassigning a majority leader or a leader to a ministerial position.
Yeah, so actually, when you look at the standing orders, you wouldn't get any exact provision as to what should be the next action, but as it were, it is the political party that the member belongs to that will issue an official communication to announce him. Now, there is a convention or a rule that Parliament uses that usually when the party that they belong to announces them, the caucus should then have a form of consultation or backdoor discussion to more or less confirm from the caucus's perspective as well. So that is the convention. We know that that kind of convention or that kind of conversation in the backdoor among the caucus members to show that indeed, if James Agaga is, they are ready and they can go ahead to proceed to work with him as such. In fact, I'm already gathering there's been that conversation happening already. Coincidentally, this is happening at the time that Parliament is on roll. So there will be that room to have all of that conversation happen, take place before the House would resume sitting for the last part of the year. And as well, what we know is that when you look at Dr. Zaneto Ajman-Rawlings, who has equally been nominated a minister, she, despite being a chairperson of the Security and Intelligence Committee, is also a vice president of the Pan-African Parliament. What that means for her and going into her future is that if she accepts to be the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, then she would have to resign from her role as the vice president of the Pan-African Parliament, because when you look at Article 17 of the Pan-African Parliament and their rules, it states that once you're a member or a vice president or a president, you cannot hold an executive position in your country where you come from. So that is another rule that would have to be relied on concerning Dr. Zaneto Ajman-Rawlings. But for both of them, the majority leader, who is now becoming the Minister for Chieftaincy and Local Affairs, as well as Zaneto Ajman-Rawlings now becoming Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, this would trigger into having some impact on the committees that they belong to, because then there will be some changes here and there.
Exactly. Christian, thank you for bringing us those details. Christian Yali, our man in Parliament. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's just stay on this. I'm bringing Dr. Victor Doke. He is a lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center, joining us on the phone. Doc, thank you for your time. As always, I mean, the name of Gilbert Ejay coming in as new defense minister. What do you make of it? We already know he's serving in President Mahama's government. What do you make of his name coming up? Well, we're working the phone to bring in Dr. Victor Doke. He is a lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center. Doc, if you can hear me now, Gilbert Ejay's name is coming up as the president's nominee for the Minister for Defense. What do you make of this?
Right, thank you very much. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Doc, loud and clear.
Right, okay. So I know the name will come up as a surprise to many, but for some of us who have been following the defense sector for a while, for the name to come up is no surprise. And people will be sort of like surprised again, because then they think or assume that automatically if one is serving as a deputy minister, automatically then the person should ascend or rise to the substantive position of being a minister. But it doesn't work like that. Okay, this is politics. And politics, as I've reiterated, has a way of linking or liaising or has some interconnectedness with security. Now, Honorable Kenneth coming in, for him having served under President Mahama before as a deputy minister, okay, and then doing less than 2 years, right, he has the knowledge in that sector altogether, the experience, has even, had some liaisons or interactions, coordinations before. So it is expected that he comes to the position with a lot of experience from when he was appointed 2015 to January 2017, thereabout. Now you look at Honorable Broja, also has done less than 2 years. And then you think that automatically he should just pick up the position. There are two different scenarios, two different dynamics playing out here. For what I've seen, what I have picked up is that the president would always want somebody very, very close. Not that Honorable Broja is not close to him, but when you look at the late Omane Boama, very close to the president. And then you look at Honorable Kenneth, very, very close to the president. Take a look at the Honorable Kenneth's profile, and then you would realize that he has not only been a deputy minister before, but even served in foundations related to what? The first couple. So that also tells you how close he is with regards to the first couple themselves. So for him coming up, it's not a surprise at all. He has a big position, and then a lot to do when you talk about that sector. Very sensitive. How?
Hello, Doc. Can you hear me? I'm losing you.
As he relate to the military hierarchy is very key for him to do that. So we are looking at a lot of things he's going to bring on board. The welfare issues for the men and women, the logistics, equipment, intelligence gathering, all of these are very key. And for him...
Hello, Doc.
Well, it's just...
Well, this is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're having a conversation with Dr. Victor Doka. He is a lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. He's talking to us about the president's nominee for the Defense Ministry, Honorable Gilbert J, and what he brings on board as Ghana's new Defense Ministry or incoming Defense Ministry. We're working the lines to have a better connection with him so that we can continue the conversation. But if you just tuned in, what is happening is that President Mahama has nominated 2 members of parliament as ministers of state and reassigned 2 serving ministers to new portfolios. In a statement issued by the presidency today, the president said the nominations were made in accordance with Article 78, Clause 1 of the Constitution and have been submitted to Parliament through the Speaker for prior approval. Dr. Zaneto Ajiman-Rawlings, a member of Parliament, has been nominated as Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, and Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga has also been nominated as Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Meanwhile, the president has reassigned Kenneth Gilbert J to the Ministry of Defense. He was formerly serving as Minister for Works and Housing. We also know that he's been a Deputy Minister for Defense in the Mahama One government from 2015 to 2017. And then that's how the conversation is going on. And then Local Government Minister Ahmed Ibrahim will now take his position as Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources. You will recall that Dr. Atofo, the Finance Minister, was appointed to act as Acting Defense Minister, thus playing dual role following the tragic death of Dr. Edward Omanibuama in the helicopter crash last year. And as you already saw, there was a 1-year commemoration ceremony for the 8 that perished during that accident, and that event happened last year. And so let us know how you feel about the names coming up. Our correspondent from Parliament, Christian Yali, tells us that James Agalga, MP for Busa North, his name is coming up as the replacement for the majority leader position. Already, he's been called by the General Secretary of the NDC, by the Chair of the NDC, Johnson Estedun Ketia, to congratulate him of his nomination. And so that is the latest now from the parliamentary front for the NDC, as well as all the changes President Mahama intends to make when it comes to reshuffling his government. Let us also know, did any of these names come to you as a surprise? Earlier, the people were tipping Dr. Zaneto Ajiman-Rawlings as the Minister for Defense because we know she's got a lot of knowledge when it comes to that, as well as his background. But she is now being nominated as Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Let us know what you make of all of these names coming up by President Mahama. What would you want them to be looking at in their first, maybe first year or first 3 months in office, and what your recommendations will be for them? Talking about this, let's just quickly go on the phone again and connect with Dr. Joshua Zato. He is a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. He's joining us on Zoom. Doc, thank you for your time on the bulletin. What will be your immediate reaction to the news of the ministerial reshuffling as announced by the presidency today? Dr. Zato, can you hear me? well, we're working the phone to speak to Dr. Joshua Zebuntie Zato. He's a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. Doc, if you can hear me now, I was asking what your reaction is to the names coming out as announced by the president as part of reshuffling his government earlier today.
Well, I am one student who believes that a president should be given a free hand to assemble his team. And that whatever team the president assembles, we should give the president the support needed for the team so that the team gets the support, the resources to perform.
Right.
Then you hold the president accountable for their outcome, their performance. So, I mean, some of them are ministers, MPs. Some are just moving chairs. The majority leader is going back to executive. He was once there. The new minister for environment has been an MP for, I think this is a second or third term, so some experience. So yes, as for the individuals, I have no problem with them. Some are just moving chairs. That's okay. But I think that for two particular ministries, that of defense and environment,
right,
it took us too long. I don't know why it took us that long.
Well, the word on the street is that the president wanted to use a year as part of honoring the memory of the fallen men and also making sure that he makes the right position. But would you say that this reshuffle appears to be driven by performance or political strategy or government needs, looking at the names the president is mentioning now?
No, that's where you just came from. I mean, I don't think, honestly, that the president needed a year to replace his defense minister or environmental minister. I don't know. It was a byproduct of indecision. But look, you cannot say that because, for instance, how do you measure the performance of the majority leader in parliament and to then justify why he's moving to executive? The president, and these presidents have been doing this, not only this president, they just make these announcements and it's not followed by anything. So the president could have done it. They could have told us why they are moving this person here. You could have told us what the person has achieved and what exactly you expect the person to achieve. That would have given us an idea of why the person is being moved. But all presidents, and it's not this president, I don't know, they've all done it. They just move the people and then they leave the rest of us to be guessing what could be happening. And I don't think that is fine. We need to get a time where the president can say, look, I'm moving A, B, C, D here because I think for these reasons. Then we can better analyze what it is. Secondly, the president could have, again, not this president, all the president don't give us KPIs. So again, we don't know why you are moving the local government minister, or we don't know why you are moving the Works and Housing minister to defense. Has he done what he was supposed to do? Are you doing it? In his case, it's a big promotion. So is it because you are content with what he's doing that you are promoting him? Or is it because you think that he's not fit for where he says you are sending him there? I think that we are not often given any information at all by all the presidents. And I think we need to get a point where they stop treating us like that by giving us enough information to help us do the analysis.
So you'd have appreciated if the president's press release had said that I am moving this person A to office B because of these and that reasons.
Yes, you could do that. I'm saying that again, it's not a criticism of the current president, all of them.
Right.
Because we need to, if you are moving the majority leader from parliament into the executive, why? Is it a reward or is it a punishment? We don't know. But it could be. Why are you moving him? That we need to understand that. If we are moving somebody from local government or to defense or this, and we need to know. Because the reason why I want to know is that it helps us to better appreciate what you are doing.
Right.
So it will help us to better follow the president's agenda, the president's strategic importance, and he keep performing indicators. It helps to carry us along. Not doing that now, we are all left to conjecture.
Okay.
Because some of the promotions can be seen, some of them can be seen as demotions, some can be seen as promotions. But above all, they tell us little or nothing about the president's own objectives and his own indicators, what he wants us to analyze him by.
Okay, Doc, and seeing as these reshuffles are usually done without reasons known, just as you've mentioned, what message does this send to the appointees of the governing party, especially when you don't know who is going where, when, and how? What message does this send across?
Well, in the absence of that, then we are beginning to say that those who have moved are those who have lobbied the highest. The new people are those whose lobbying is stronger or better. The new people is because of whom they know. It then leaves appointees of government to begin asking themselves, when are they going to think about me? When will they remember me? And those kind of things are not good for the government. It is not good because we need to able to say that this is where it is coming from, this is how it is coming. Secondly, it only intensifies the lobbying and then makes the current ministers a little bit uncomfortable on where they are. Because you wake up tomorrow and you're moved, and tomorrow, fortunately, nobody is living to have come inside. You wake up tomorrow and you are living cabinet. It gives them a decision to engage in what's called short terrorism. They all then adopt the firefighting strategy to governance. They govern day by day. It's kind of difficult for them now come out with, let's say, long-term strategic plans. And that becomes the problem. If you are managing or you are governing day by day because you don't know what you are doing right, you don't know what you are doing wrong, you don't know when you can change, that's a problem.
Okay, Doc.
In this case, giving...
Okay, so let me just acknowledge the presence of Dr. Richard Fiadomo. He's a local governance expert joining us on the phone. I'll go to him shortly, but wrapping up with you, Dr. Zato. Dr. Zanato Ajman-Rawlings is entering cabinet for the first time. What opportunities and challenges await her? A lot of people were looking forward to her appointment or her name mentioned earlier.
Well, and she's going to environment, right?
Right.
She's going to environment. You see, one of the biggest things is that if you go back and see the former environment minister, Honorable Mutala, he lost his life on his way to go and he together with the defense minister to help bring an end to Galamsey.
Right.
The biggest environmental challenge we face today is Galamsey. And I think the joint ministries of environment, lands, and have that responsibility. I think it falls squarely with the lands, but the environment too matters. The question Zenita wants to do today is that she's coming to cabinet, she's filling some pretty huge shoes. People will now want to begin to judge her not based on her last name, but based on what she can do. She has an opportunity now to also begin to say, look, I'm my father's daughter, but begin to also give me credit for who
I am and what I can do.
Exactly. And that is it. That's it. If she can, because as I said, the environment, the whole environment now looks like a poison chalice. Poison chalice precisely because of the Galamsey.
Right.
Again, I don't know whether she's in charge of it. She has to marry with somebody. So the appointment may look like a sort of Damocles hanging overhead. If she bombs, as in, if the Galamsey doesn't improve, then it will to her name like you didn't do this. So that is why I'm saying if it succeeds to, then she becomes. So she has some big names and some powerful people within her own party to fight with. If she wants to come out and they will say, yes, it was Jaredon Rawlings' daughter who came in and solved the Galamsey and began turning the tide against Galamsey, it will be to her glory.
Right.
If she comes and they will say it was Jaredon Rawlings' daughter, but it was just the same thing that was happening then, it will also have a negative effect on her name and her last name.
Right. Doc, thank you so much for talking to us. Dr. Joshua Zebuntie Zato, a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. Let's bring in local governance expert Richard Fiadomo. Mr. Fiadomo, thank you for your time. As always on the bulletin, Mahama Yarega has held several ministerial and parliamentary positions over the years. How does his experience prepare him for the local government, chieftaincy, and religious affairs ministry?
Yeah, thank you very much. Greetings to all your cherished listeners. Like you rightly said, he has held ministerial portfolios, and I believe he has learned some useful lessons, experiences, and some of the challenges he faced and how he overcame them. So clearly, I have no reason to doubt his competency. And I also trust that if he becomes a local government minister, he may not necessarily know about the terrain now, but looking at him being an astute lawyer and experience as a former minister, I believe he will learn on the job very fast and can become a very good local government minister going forward.
And we know that you have also a lot of interest when it comes to the works, housing, and water resources areas. The Kenneth Gilbert J is now moving from that sector to defense. What would you say has been his record in his previous portfolio?
So I think over the period, the issues of water and sanitation has been some of the topical issues that have happened when the flooding came and the issues that came up. And I think the Works and Housing Ministry, in terms of the work that they had to do in terms of sanitation, checking flooding and other things, I think that, yes, if you want to use that yardstick, we may not be able to score him a very good mark because of what we saw on June 29th this year. So clearly, I think that he has the competency to go to the defense ministry. He has been there as a former deputy defense minister before, so I believe he learned one or two things whilst he was there. So going there as a substantive minister, I think he will do well. But for the Works and Housing Ministry, because of the flooding issue that we had, which a lot had to do with his ministry, then we may not be able to give him a very good score. But I do not think that alone can be used to judge the work he did at the ministry.
We always say that at the base or at the bottom of defense is local governance. With Kennedy J coming in as the new minister, we already know he's been deputy defense minister before. What will be the priority areas from your perspective he should be looking at?
As a defense minister?
Right, yes.
Oh, clearly, we all know when it comes to security matters, these are not things that are discussed in the open. So obviously, there are a lot of things that happen as far as the military and the security sector is concerned that do not come to the public for us to know about. But I believe that where his predecessor left off and maybe where the current finance minister is leaving off, he will also take over and the military will continue to do what they have been there to do and ensure that we have a certain peace in this country. So I believe that he will fit in very well, especially so when he has been a deputy minister of that particular ministry before.
And Ahmed Ibrahim, he is now taking over the Works, Housing and Water Resources Ministry. What should Ghanaians know about his experience?
So I think those of us who are operating in the local government space, we are sad. We are not happy. But the president is appointing authority. He decides who he wants to put where. So we will not fault the president for moving Ahmed from local government to water resources. But would have wished Ahmed stayed with the local government space for some time. But like I said, I have no doubt in my mind that his replacement being Mahama Yariga will do a good job and even they do a better job than Ahmed have done now. So clearly, even though we are not happy he's leaving, I believe the president knows best and the one he's bringing to, we may not have him operating in the space, but with his experience as a former minister, I believe he can take over from where Ahmed is leaving off.
Your son Ahmed is leaving. Mahama Yariga is coming in. What would you want him to do or look at to compensate for your sadness?
Oh, you see, especially so when it's just about 18 months that we have worked with Ahmed and he's leaving. That is not to say that in his absence nobody can do the work. Yes, but clearly we believe that Ahmed will also, the experience he has, especially when it comes to local governance and the flooding issues that we had in recent times, he will be a better person to do well as far as the Works and Housing Ministry is concerned. And as for this sadness, I can tell you it's just temporary. I'm sure when Mahama Yariga takes over, everything will be settled. What we want is that we should be able to deepen local governance in this country. The fact that common fund is going to the assemblies, the fact that assemblies are being given the leeway to be able to do what they have to do, I believe when Mahama Yariga comes, he will also allow that to continue because that is the only way we can feel the true essence of local governance and decentralization in this country.
Mr. Fiadomo, thank you for talking to us on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. That was local governance expert Richard Fiadomo talking to us about the new changes and mentions President Mahama has made to his government. If you are new to the party, the latest is that the president has nominated 2 members of parliament as ministers of state and reassigned 7 ministers to new portfolios. You can join us on social media now, especially on Facebook and YouTube, and you can see that press release that came from the presidency communications with the names of these MPs as well as government appointees, where they were and where they are going to. And so Dr. Zaneto Ajiman-Rawlings, daughter of the former president and also member of parliament for Koleklote, has been nominated as Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, and Majority Leader Mahama Yariga, he has also been nominated as Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Meanwhile, the president has reassigned Kenneth Gilbert J to the Ministry of Defense. He was formerly serving as Minister for Works and Housing. And Local Government Minister Ahmed Ibrahim will now take his position as Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources. Let us bring in Emmanuel Coating. He is a security analyst also on the same conversation. Mr. Coating, thank you for your time tonight. We have
Thank you for having me. Great.
Right.
And good evening to your cherished listeners.
Good evening to you too. We have a new name coming in as the Defense Minister. How do you receive this name, especially because it didn't look like people were looking at the name of Gilbert J coming up as Defense Minister, and now here we are.
Well, I think it is an end to a very, very long overdue battle. And I think that if you look at the profile of Mr. Gilbert, he served as a Deputy Minister of Defense during the previous Mahama administration. And I think he has carried a prophetic interest in counter-terrorism and defense strategy if you look at his profile. But his wider record is that of a manager, a party insider, a marketing and financial service executive. And if you look at the CV further, you see that he was a former member of the board member of the National Lottery Authority and a one-time program director of the Lordina Foundation. Very significant. You know, one of the things any president will consider in appointing a defense minister is loyalty. And if the person is a confidant. That was what played out in the appointment of the late Defense Minister, Dr. Dramani Mahama. So I think that that has brought Mr. Gilbert IEC to where he is. So let's look at institutional familiarity. I think that having previously served as a deputy at the very same ministry, Mr. Ajay will know better, especially the architecture machinery surrounding the Ghana Armed Forces Council dynamics. You know, if you look at the procurement files and the perennial welfare and pension questions. So to me, the learning curve is shorter than it would have been if we went for an outsider. And I say an outsider because I see it's not an outsider. He has been at the ministry before. He's a confidant of the first family. And if you just suppose that even with the United States of America, you know, Donald Trump appointed Pete Hegseth in January 2025. Pete Hegseth appointment as a defense minister. He was a radio host. So I don't think we should draw so much on the academic qualification of the nominee.
Right.
And look, it is even worth pointing that he holds a postgraduate qualification in peace, security, and intelligence management.
As we know from UPSA. Yeah.
Yes, and he was the best graduating student of his cohort. Mm-hmm. So I think that if you look at administratively and fiscal fluency, defense is among other things, a procurement and budget-heavy ministry. And it is burdened with a lot of legacy debt. If you ask around, many people know about that. So if you look at even his background in finance, insurance, and risk management, I think it will be genuinely useful for the work in settling hidden defense liabilities and bringing discipline in procurement and managing the work of logistics of our force. And you know our force is a growing one.
Yes.
So the presidential backing to me is the most necessary thing. As a defense minister, you must be able to mobilize resources. And I think his closeness with the president and the finance minister can translate this into delivery.
Okay,
so
Mr. Coating.
Yes.
Yes. We know that the finance minister was taking hold of the ministry while we awaited the president's nomination, and now a name has come. As a ministry which has been with us as a substantive minister for a year, what tasks confront the new minister? What will be the top 3 priority areas he should be looking at from your perspective?
He has to intensify the Sahelian pressure on Ghana's northern frontier. You know, these violent extremist group and things. And he must also look at continuing with some of the benchmarks his predecessor started. You know, Mani Boama wanted to fill in some vacuum and then recruit more recruits to make up our numbers to match with other African numbers. So another thing he has to do is that he has to bring direction to the ministry, given that we've had someone acting in a capacity. Obviously, the service commanders will have a much bigger role to even take political decisions they were not even mandated to. So given what has happened, he must establish a clear accountability and a single point of political direction. So, in summing, I think that his appointment will not be taken, the measure of his appointment will not be taken as his version. It will be taken in how quickly he grabs the northern frontier, like I mentioned, whether he protects and builds on his predecessors' reforms, and whether he can insulate the Ghana Armed Forces from the very partisan perception his own profile invites. And when I talk about the partisan perception his own profile invites, we are talking about his closeness to the First Family and his confident role with the First Family. And I just pray that Ghanaians should give him the opportunity, because if you look at Dr. Omani Boama, he didn't have any security background. And the one before Dr. Omani Boama, Dominic Misiwo, didn't also have a security background. But however, our ears are on the ground as security analysts, and when you call on us, we will as usual do our independent analysis of issues moving forward. So we wish him well. I think it's the best fit for the role.
Mr. Kutin, thank you so much for talking to us. As always on the bulletin, we've been engaging Emmanuel Kutin. He's a security analyst, talking to us about the president's nomination of Gilbert J as the new Minister for Defense after the ministry had no substantive minister for a year. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's move away from that and do some other stories. And the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, has thrown its weight behind calls for an independent probe into the controversies surrounding the 2026 Basic Education Certificate Examination BC results. The development comes as the Ministry of Education officially received a petition from the Ghana National Council of Private Schools and other private school operators who are demanding answers over what they describe as anomalies in the release of the BC results. There's more in this report.
Presented a petition, the Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools, Kwesi Obinfo, underscored the significant contribution of private schools to national development. He stressed the need for greater transparency in the conduct and administration of public examinations.
We are in a possession of relevant documentary and empirical evidence in support of the concerns raised in this petition. And for that matter, if the establishment of an independent review body is constituted, the petitioners will make themselves available and provide adequacy of relevant evidences to make or support our cumulative claim.
The Greater Accra Regional President of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, Dr. Aisha Akrofi, also called for an independent investigation into the release of the BEC results. Presenting a 7-point analysis, she questioned the moderation process used by West Africa Examinations Council and called for full disclosure of the procedures and individuals involved in arriving at the final results.
Receive and consider documentary evidence, expert submissions, statistical analysis, and representations from all relevant stakeholders, including the petitioners, WAEC, educational experts, school authorities, and any other persons whose evidence the committee considers relevant to its inquiry.
Receiving a petition on behalf of the Minister of Education, Deputy Minister of Education Dr. Clement Park acknowledged the critical role private schools play in Ghana's education system.
We are not in a position to justify or dismiss your claims, and I believe that is why you are calling for a probe. Let's have the probe. Let's look at the evidence. Let's put all the cards on the table. Let's do an honest assessment and then reach an honest conclusion.
Meanwhile, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, has endorsed the calls for an independent investigation.
Let's allow the investigation to go on and let's see whether there's truth in what they are saying or not. Then we'll come to a table and agree whether we need another body to do the work we are expecting to be done.
The West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has rejected claims by private school operators that it deliberately awarded low grades to their students. WAEC insists that the 2026 BEC results were graded fairly, accurately, and professionally.
Daniel Opoku's reports there. Away from that, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Antwi Boasiako, has concluded a 5-day operational assessment and stakeholder engagement along sections of the Ghana-Togo international boundary in the Oti region. The exercise, conducted from July 27 to 31, covered the KJB district, Nkwanta South Municipality, and Nkwanta North District. According to him, it formed part of efforts to strengthen boundary governance, improve border security, and assess the development challenges facing border communities. More in this report.
Because if official come to a state, it starts on the borders. We want to find out whether you, the community members yourselves, are you living at peace? And then the communities at the other side of the border, are you at peace with each other? When you move from the cities towards the borders, then you see that the rate of development comes down a bit. So we want to assess or find out your pressing needs so that we can carry it across to the ministry that are responsible. And then also we have some development partners that assist us and provide some of the facilities.
That was the Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Antwi Boasiako. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Time now for the business update with Bismarck Ewisa. Stay with us.
Segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. Also coming up tonight, Afrobarometer report reveals strong African support for free trade despite low public awareness of AfCFTA across the continent. We'll bring you details and other stories shortly. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. A new Afrobarometer report has revealed a major gap between Africans' growing support for free trade and their awareness of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA. The study found that while nearly 2/3 of Africans favor expanding international trade to create economic opportunities, only 13% of citizens have heard of the continent's flagship free trade agreement. Even in Ghana, which hosts the Africa or the AfCFTA Secretariat, awareness stands at just 17%, raising concerns about the level of public engagement with Africa's biggest economic integration project. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the detail. The 2026 African Insights Report, based on surveys conducted in 38 African countries, found that only 13% of Africans have heard of the AfCFTA, despite it being one of the world's largest free trade agreements. In Ghana, which holds the AFCFTA Secretariat and was among the first countries to ratify the agreement, public awareness stands at just 17%. Despite this, support for free trade continues to grow. 62% of Africans believe governments should make it easier to trade with other countries to create economic opportunities, up from 51% 5 years ago. The report also found that 2/3 of respondents want their governments to expand trade globally, while fewer favor focusing only on Africa or their sub-region. Afrobarometer warns that governments cannot assume public backing for the AFCFTA will come automatically. It is urging policymakers to intensify public education and communication efforts to help citizens understand how increased intra-African trade can strengthen economic growth and improve Africa's competitiveness in the global economy. And that was the 3 Business News Desk report on Afrobarometer reports revealing strong African support for free trade despite low public awareness of AFCFTA across the continent. Before we go, government goes to the domestic money market to borrow 6.217 billion cedis through its weekly treasury bill auction. This exercise, labeled as Tender 2019, is expected to cover the standard tenors as government seeks to score a 7-week streak of oversubscription. The following 3 Business News report has the details. The auction comes as government continues to rely on short-term borrowing to finance budget operations and manage maturing debt. The auction is expected to maintain strong investor interest. Government has recorded 6 consecutive weeks of oversubscription on treasury bills and is aiming to extend that to a 7th straight week with this offer. 3 Business attributes the sustained demand to easing inflation, improved investor confidence, attractive yields that continue to make T-bills a preferred instrument for banks and institutional investors, and investor appetite for government securities. The results of Tender 2019 will provide fresh signals on government borrowing costs and liquidity conditions in the domestic market. A 7th consecutive oversubscription would reinforce confidence in the domestic debt market and provide government with continued access to relatively stable short-term financing. And that was the 3 Business News report on government targeting 6.217 billion cedis in treasury bill sale as oversubscription streak faces fresh tests. And that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. Also, for more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Thanks for your company.
And Bismarck Ewisa just gone by with the latest in the world of business. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Thank you for spending the last 60 minutes with us. We've been talking about the president's shake-up in his government in his first game of chess that sees the introduction of 2 fresh faces into the executive and the reassignment of 2 ministers. You can log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. My name is Grace Hamwajiman. Thank you for joining us and have a good evening.